Brain to brain communication, bitch. Let's talk about it, okay? So this is really interesting. In 2013, at the University of Washington, two men sat in different rooms. One thought about moving his hand, okay, to play a video game. The other man hand moved way across campus, okay? That was a brain signal being sent over the internet. At Harvard Medical School, they wired a human brain to a rat, okay? And when the human imagined moving, the rat's tail twitched on command. Okay, at Duke University, monkeys were linked together through electrodes. One monkey thoughts controlled another monkey's body. Okay? And DARPA, the Defense Department Research Agency, has been funding this for years. They call it next generation neurotechnology. Okay, their goal is clear: soldiers communicating silently, sharing commands without words. So, in my opinion, I think the whole thing is, for lack of a better word, scary. Okay, I feel like, yeah, it might start off with soldiers and things of that nature, but I also feel like it's going to go towards maybe even attacking the human race. And if you can control a soldier, it's we're gonna read this though for sure. So the same technology that can heal paralysis, restore movement, or give sight to the blind can also be used to transmit thoughts, moods, and even decisions directly to another person's mind. Okay. Let's thoroughly go through this. Okay. I've done a little research on this, and I want to kind of keep it to the facts. Like, I don't want to get off into left field, but I feel like that gives us all the chills a little bit, just because we know what people are capable of. So I did formulate some questions. Okay, let's look, friend. Who truly benefits from this link between the minds and its patients? Okay, the corporation, the military, or unseen forces. The very first card pulled is the government. Okay, you have the government card that's pulled. This is talking about financially it would be the corporations right now, but I feel like this would be the government in the long run. The chat card shows up, so it would be very scripted. This is talking about being able to maybe transfer the consciousness into maybe robots or beings without physical essence or a physical body. Okay. I feel like with this card being pulled, this talks about the testing for that already being present. However, I haven't done any research on that part, the transfer of consciousness. What dangers live in the shadows of brain-to-brain communication? Could it lead to planted thoughts, manufactured emotions, or false memories programmed into the mind? Okay. The stay safe energy shows up. This actually talks about transmitting thoughts into people while they are sleeping. Okay, and I also feel like they might transmit thoughts into children before they actually have the ability to speak and tell their parents that something is going on. And it's almost like they come out of this phasey energy, right? So it's almost like from conception, okay, until the period of birth, and beyond that until a child speaks. I'm not sure how old a child has to be to speak, but until that time comes, I feel like there could be certain vibrations, thoughts, energies, and things like that transmitted. Okay. Now the stay safe card is pulled here, so this actually does allude to the fact that we as human beings, we as people, we as spiritualists, we can definitely protect ourselves from this. I feel like the way that you protect yourself from it is inserting spirituality into your day-to-day. Mind you, the basic human thought pattern is not necessarily spiritual, and it's not even religious. Okay. You know what? I take that back. I feel like the basic thought pattern is more so religious, so it's more so centered around God than it is spirituality around your ancestors. Okay. You do have the obey card that shows up. The Ashmi energy is here as well, which means that if you make it a daily ritual to think about your ancestors and to actually honor them in the physical aspect too, so your candles, crystals, all of that stuff is going to start to really formulate shields and things like that in your mind, that in your mind that you might not necessarily physically feel the benefits of it from, but your offspring will, okay? And the generations after you, the generation that I believe that actually might be dealing with this particular type of battle head on, okay? The calming energy shows up here as well. So I feel like a lot of you are here to prepare like the front line in your lineage. So you might be the only one that's spiritual. You might be the only one that's gifted. So when you're doing your altars and when you're doing your spirituality, don't feel like it's not working, because it may not kick in your lifetime, but that energy might kick into your great grandkids when they're laying in bed and something is telling them to think or harm themselves, okay? They may be protected by the magic that you're casting for your protection now, and you might feel like it's not working, but actually it is working, and it'll work when it needs to work in the particular bloodline point. That's deep, okay? Because you might feel like, oh my gosh, I've been burning these candles, ain't nothing, love is not coming to me, money's not coming to me. And basically your great grandchildren may be in a position to where America is putting them in a space to where they have to benefit from the love candle you lit many years ago. They might be alone or by themselves, and because your love conjuring that you did on yourself did not work for you, that energy could still snap into effect for them, bringing them a friend who makes them feel safe. Okay, bringing them a spirit guide who protects their mind. So you gotta really think about it like that. Okay. So if human thought can be transmitted like data, what parts of us remain untouchable? I feel like the only part that they'll be able to access that remains untouchable is whatever happens when you are so for instance, like I'm in recovery, right? So the parts that remain untouchable for anyone, as well as this type of technology, basically come from underneath my shielding or protection whenever I do use drugs or whenever I've relapsed, okay? Now, this is the same type of energy to answer that question. Whatever parts of you are untouchable are the parts of you, because you might not be a user or you might not use drugs or whatever the case may be. But whatever you do to not protect, like whatever you do to protect yourself, help me with this, spirit. What parts of you are safe? The parts of you that are well protected with rest, a sound mind. You know how like you might not necessarily have like a lot of rest, or you might not be eating well, or whatever the case may be, like you might let yourself go, okay? The parts that you covet, this is hard to explain. Let me just explain it in my terms, okay? So whenever I'm not using drugs, okay, whenever I'm not drinking, whenever I'm not doing anything to undo like my subconscious protection, I am extremely protected, okay? The moment that I use drugs, or the moment that I step into this vibration of I'm just gonna do what I wanna do, I'm no longer protected, and I hope that makes sense. The question says, the parts of me that remain untouchable are all parts of myself as long as I'm not using, okay? Not just untouchable from going downhill, but they become untouchable from this type of technology as well, and these types of human attacks. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, all of this is just, really is my first time reading it like this, but I hope it makes sense. We'll make more sense of it as we go along, okay? How is humanity going to shift in the next 5 to 10 years based on this? I actually think it's going to bring humanity together, okay? The church actually shows up here. The strength is in reverse. I feel like it's actually going to bring humanity together in the spiritual essence, and we might all have one common enemy, okay? So the common enemy could definitely be the dictators, okay, or the attacker. That's beautiful to see. So it's basically saying that we have a lot of things to divide us now, but us as a human race will stand up and work together at one point in time. So I like this. We'll do a couple different parts of this, friend.